Right now, there's a massive ancient city hiding in plain sight, and almost nobody talks about it. No pyramids made of stone, no marble temples, no written language carved into walls, just grass-covered hills. But make no mistake, this was a city so big, so organized, and so powerful that if it existed in Europe, it would be one of the most famous ancient sites on Earth. Instead, it sits quietly near St. Louis, Missouri. This is Cahokia, and here's the wild part. When this city was at its peak, London was still a muddy town, and Paris barely mattered. So why don't we learn about Cahokia in school? And more importantly, why did it disappear? About 1,000 years ago, long before Columbus ever crossed the Atlantic, the Mississippi River Valley was buzzing with life. This was an empty wilderness. This was an untouched land. It was a network of trade routes, farming communities, and sacred spaces, all connected by one massive center. Cahokia, at its height around 1100 AD, Cahokia covered nearly 6 square miles. That's bigger than ancient Athens, bigger than medieval London, and it wasn't random. The city was carefully planned. Neighborhoods, plazas, ceremonial spaces, all aligned with astronomical events like solstices and equinoxes. These people weren't guessing. They knew what they were doing. At the center of everything stood Monk's Mound. This thing is massive. Not big for its time big. We're talking bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza by volume. Built entirely by hand. No metal tools. No draft animals. No wheels. Just baskets of dirt carried up layer by layer. On top of Monk's Mound sat a massive wooden structure, likely the home or temple of Cahokia's most powerful leader. From up there, you could see the entire city. And that wasn't accidental. Power in Cahokia was meant to be seen. This wasn't just a religious site. Cahokia was alive. Farmers worked massive cornfields that stretched for miles. Craftspeople made shell beads, copper ornaments, stone tools. Traders brought goods from as far as the Great Lakes, the Gulf Coast, and the Rocky Mountains. This place was a hub. If you wanted power, trade, or influence in ancient North America, you came through Cahokia. And the population? Estimates range from 10,000 to 20,000 people. For comparison, that's about the size of Rome when it was first becoming a serious power. Let that sink in. Religion was everywhere in Cahokia. The city was designed to reflect the universe as they understood it: earth, sky, and the underworld. They built wooden circles, often called Woodhenge, used to track the sun and seasons. These weren't decorations. They controlled farming cycles, ceremonies, and probably even political authority. Because if you can predict the sun, people start believing you're chosen, or worse, that you control it. But here's where things start getting strange. For a city this powerful, for a civilization this organized, there's something missing. No written records, no surviving oral histories directly tied to Cahokia, no clear explanation for its end. By 1350 AD, Cahokia was mostly empty, not destroyed, not burned, just abandoned. And that raises a question historians still argue about today. Did Cahokia collapse, or did its people leave on purpose? Because in the layers of dirt beneath these mounds, there are signs that the story we've been told might be wrong. To understand what really happened to Cahokia, you have to understand how power worked here. Because this city wasn't just advanced, it was tightly controlled, and that control came with a cost. Cahokia wasn't run by councils or loose alliances of villages. It was centralized. Everything, food, labor, religion, ritual, flowed toward the center of the city and back outward under strict supervision. At the top of that system was a small elite class. Most archaeologists believe Cahokia was ruled by a paramount leader, someone whose authority wasn't just political, but sacred. This wasn't a king in the European sense. This was a figure whose power came from belief. Monk's Mound tells that story better than anything else. This wasn't just a platform. It was a statement. By placing leadership physically above the rest of the population, Cahokia turned hierarchy into something you couldn't ignore. Every day, people looked up. Every ceremony happened below. Power wasn't hidden. It was elevated. Archaeological evidence supports this. Burials near the city's core contain rare and exotic goods. Copper from the Great Lakes, shells from the Gulf Coast, finely crafted ceremonial items. These weren't everyday people. Meanwhile, graves farther from the center are simple. No luxury, no status. Some elite burials are even accompanied by human sacrifices, individuals placed deliberately beside high-status figures. That tells us something important. Authority in Cahokia wasn't symbolic. It was enforced. Religion was the glue holding this system together. Cahokian leaders positioned themselves as intermediaries between worlds. The sky above, the earth of humans, and the watery underworld below. They didn't just rule society. They explained reality. When the sun rose in perfect alignment with Woodhenge, it reinforced their legitimacy. When seasons changed on schedule, it proved they understood the universe. And when you can predict the sun, people don't just respect you, they obey you. But here's where it starts to get unstable. Because this system depended on precision, predictable seasons, reliable harvests, unshaken belief. And nature doesn't follow political rules. As Cahokia grew, so did the pressure. Forests were cleared faster than they could recover. Soil was pushed to its limits. The Mississippi River flooded more frequently. Every flood threatened food supplies. Every failed harvest tested faith. And when leaders claim divine authority, failure doesn't just look like bad luck. It looks like betrayal. Archaeologists see the response. Instead of loosening control, the system appears to tighten. More ritual, more sacrifice, more enforcement. Defensive palisades were built and rebuilt. Evidence of violence increases during periods of stress. This wasn't a peaceful society slowly fading away. It was a system under strain. And here's the dangerous part. Cahokia was too centralized to adapt quickly. When power, food, and belief are concentrated at the top, failure spreads fast. If the leaders lose credibility, the entire system shakes. There's no buffer, no flexibility, no release valve. That's why some archaeologists believe Cahokia wasn't just advanced. It was unstable by design. Its strength, tight control, centralized authority, religious legitimacy was also its weakness. When everything works, it's powerful. When anything breaks, it cascades. And that instability didn't cause a dramatic collapse. It caused something quieter. People stopped believing. People stopped participating. People started leaving. Not all at once, but enough to change everything. Because once belief fades, even the biggest city in North America can empty out. And that instability, political, environmental, spiritual, might explain everything that came next.